Hello, Melinda.
I think it's going to be hotter than yesterday. That rain last night didn't do much good.
It brought up the worms. Look at this fat one.
How can you touch him? It makes me all goosebumpy.
What are you scared of? You was a worm once.
I wasn't neither.
You was so. When the whole world was nothing but water, and there was nothing but worms and blobs of jelly, you and your whole family was worms.
We was not.
Blobs of jelly, then.
Howard Blair, that's sinful talk. I'm going to tell my pa and he'll make you wash your mouth out with soap.
Your old man's a monkey. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Mr. Meeker?
Who is it? Why, hello, Rachel. Excuse the way I look. Not leaving, are you? Excitement's just starting.
Mr. Meeker, you can't tell my father I came here.
Reverend, don't tell me his business. Don't see why I should tell him mine.
Is Bert Cates down there? Is he all right?
Don't see why I shouldn't be. Always figured the safest place in the world is jail.
Can I go down and see him?
Ain't a very proper place for a minister's daughter.
I only want to see him for a minute.
Sit down. I'll bring him up. You can talk to him right here in the courtroom. As long as I've been a bailiff here, we've never had nothing but drunks, vagrants, a couple of chicken thieves. Our best catch is that fellow from Minnesota that chopped up his wife. We had to extradite him. Seems kind of queer having a teacher in our jail. Might improve the writing on the walls. I'll leave you two to talk. Don't run off, Bert.
Hello, Bert.
Rach, I told you not to come here.
I couldn't help it. I keep thinking of you. Locked up here.
You know something funny? The food's better than the boarding house. And you'd better not tell anybody how cool it is down there. We'd have a crime wave every summer.
I picked up some of your things. A clean shirt, your best tie, some handkerchiefs.
Thanks.
Bert, it's still not too late. Why can't you just tell me it was all a joke and that you won't do it again and you're sorry?
I suppose everybody's all steamed up about Brady coming.
He's coming in on a special train out of Chattanooga. Pa's going down to the station to meet him. Everybody is.
Strike up the band.
Bert, it's still not too late. Why can't you just... If the biggest man in the country, next to the president maybe, if Matthew Harrison Brady comes here to tell the whole world how wrong you are...
You still think I did wrong?
Why did you do it?
You know why I did it. I had the book in my hand. Under civic biology. I opened it up and read my sophomore science class, chapter 17, Darwin's Origin of Species. All it says is that man wasn't just stuck here like a geranium in a flower pot. That living comes from a long miracle. It didn't just happen in 7 days.
There's a law against it.
I know that.
Everybody says what you did is bad.
It just isn't as simple as that. Good or bad, black or white, night or day. Do you know at the top of the world, twilight is 6 months long?
But we don't live at the top of the world, Bert. We live in Hillsboro, and when the sun goes down, it's dark. And why do you try to make it different?
Because...
Here.
Thanks, Rich.
Bert, why can't you just be on the right side of things?
Your father's side? Rach, love me.
Oh, I got a sweep mop in here.
Thanks for the shirt.
Imagine, Matthew Harrison Brady's coming here. I voted for him for president. Twice, in 1900, then again in 08. Wasn't old enough to vote for him the first time he ran, but my pa did. And I seen him once, at a Chautauqua meeting in Chattanooga. The tent poles shook. Who's gonna be your lawyer, son?
I don't know yet. I wrote to that newspaper in Baltimore. They're sending somebody.
Well, he better be loud.
Don't you want me to go back down?
No need. You can stay up here if you want.
I'm supposed to be in jail. I better be in jail.
Warm enough for you, Mrs. Krabs?
Good Lord gave us the heat, and the good Lord gave us the glance to sweat with.
I bet the devil ain't so obliging.
I don't intend to find out.
Good morning, Reverend.
Morning. Morning, Reverend. Mrs. Krebs.
Where's the banner? Why didn't you raise the banner?
Paint didn't dry till just now.
See that you have it up before Mr. Brady arrives.
Fast as I can do it, Reverend.
We must show him at once what kind of a community this is.
Big day, Reverend.
Indeed it is. Picnic lunch ready, Mrs. Krebs?
Pinning for a king. As soon as Brady gets here, people are gonna pour in. Town's gonna fill up like a rain barrel in a flood. And that means business.
Amen.
Where are they gonna stay? Where are they gonna sleep all them people?
They got money. We'll sleep 'em. Looks like the biggest day for this town since we put up Coxey's army.
Hot dogs, get red hot. Hot dogs.
Bible! Buy a Bible!
Get a fan, compliments Maylee's funeral home, 35 cents.
Buy your Bibles!
Hot dogs!
I'd die first.
You're a stranger, aren't you, mister? Want a nice clean place to stay?
Oh, well, I had a nice clean place to stay, madam, and I left it to come here.
You're gonna need a room.
I have a reservation at the mansion house.
Oh, that's all right, I suppose. For them as likes having a privy practically in the bedroom.
The unplumbed and plummingless depths. Hillsborough, heavenly Hillsborough, the buckle on the Bible belt.
Hot dog? Buy a Bible?
Now that poses a pretty problem. Which is hungrier? My stomach or my soul? My stomach.
What are you? An evolutionist? An infidel? A sinner?
The worst kind. I'm a newspaper writer. Hornbeck, E.K. Hornbeck, Baltimore Herald. I don't believe I caught your name.
They call me Elijah.
Elijah, yes, why, I've read some of your stuff.
I neither read nor write.
Oh, excuse me. I must be thinking of a different Elijah. Grandpa! Welcome to Hillsborough, sir. Have you come to testify for the prosecution or the defense? No answer? Why, that's fairly safe. But I warn you, sir, you can't compete with all these monkey shines.
All the members of the Bible League, get ready. Let us show Mr. Brady the spirit with which we welcome him to Hillsborough. Give me that old-time religion, give me that old-time religion, give me that old-time religion, it's good enough for me.
Shield your eyes, monk. You're about to meet the mightiest of your descendants. A man who wears a church spire for a cloak and a cathedral for a hat. Whose tread has the legions of the thunder and the lion-hearted.
It is good enough for Brady.
It is good enough for Brady. It is good enough for Brady. It is good enough for Brady. And it's good enough for me.
Sound the trumpet. Beat the drum. Everyone's come to see your competition, monk. A high school teacher in the county cooler. Wild, untamed.
Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me.
Friends, and I can see most of you are my friends by the way you've decked out your beautiful city of Hillsborough. Mrs. Brady and I are delighted to be among you. I can only wish one thing, that you had not given us quite so warm a welcome. Bless you. My friends of Hillsborough, you know why I am here. Not merely to prosecute a lawbreaker, an arrogant youth who has spoken out against the revealed word, but to defend that which is most precious in the hearts of all of us, the living truth of the Scriptures.
Amen.
A picture, Mr. Brady?
I shall be happy to oblige. Sarah,
Oh, no, Matt. Just you and the dignitaries.
you are the mayor, are you not?
I am, sir.
My name is Matthew Harrison Brady.
Oh, I know. Everybody knows that. I had a little speech of welcome ready, but it didn't seem necessary.
I shall be honored to hear your greetings, sir.
Mr. Matthew Harrison Brady, this municipality is proud to have within its city limits the warrior who has always fought for us ordinary people. The lady folks of this town wouldn't have got the vote if it wasn't for you fighting to give them all that suffrage. Mr. President Wilson would have never got to the White House or won the war if it wasn't for you supporting him. And in conclusion, the governor of our state...
Hold it. Thanks.
Matt, you didn't have your coat on.
Perhaps we should have a more formal pose. Who is the spiritual leader of this community?
That would be the Reverend Jeremiah Brown.
Your servant and the Lord's.
The Reverend on my left, the mayor on my right. We must look grave, gentlemen, but not too serious. Hopeful, I believe, is the word. We must look hopeful.
And thanks.
In conclusion, the governor of our state has vested in commissioned me to confer upon you a commission as honorary colonel in our state militia.
Colonel Brady, I like the sound of that.
We thought you might be hungry, Colonel Brady, after your train ride.
So the members of Our Lady's Aid have prepared a buffet lunch.
Splendid, splendid. I could do with a little snack.
You know, Mr. Brady, Colonel Brady, all of us here voted for you 3 times.
I hope it wasn't 3 separate elections.
Sir, I'm Tom Davenport.
Ah, Circuit District Attorney. We'll make a team, won't we, young man? Quite a team. Ah, what a handsome repast. What a challenge it'll be to fit on the old armor again. To test the steel of our truth against the blasphemies of science. To stand...
Matthew, it's a warm day. Remember the doctor told you not to overeat?
Don't worry, Mother. Just a bite or 2. Now, who among you knows the defendant? Cates, is that his name?
Well, we all know him, sir.
Just about everybody in Hillsborough knows everybody else.
Can someone tell me, is this Cates a criminal by nature?
Bert isn't a criminal. He's good, really. He's just...
Wait, my child, is Mr. Cates your friend?
I can't really tell you much.
Rachel! My daughter will be pleased to answer any questions about Bertram Cates.
Your daughter, Reverend? You must be proud indeed. Now, how did you come to be acquainted with Mr. Cates?
At school. I'm a school teacher, too.
And I assume you teach according to the precepts of the Lord?
I try, but my pupils are only 2nd graders.
And has Mr. Cates ever tried to pollute your mind with his heathen dogma?
Bert isn't a heathen.
Rachel.
I understand your loyalty, my child. This man, the man in your jailhouse, is a fellow school teacher. Likeable, no doubt. And you are loath to speak out against him in front of all these people. Think of me as a friend, Rachel, and tell me what troubles you.
Who's going to be the defense attorney? We don't know yet. It hasn't been announced.
Well, whoever he is, he won't have much chance against your husband, will he, Mrs. Brady?
Well, I can't say.
I disagree.
Who are you?
Hornbeck, E.K. Hornbeck, Baltimore Herald.
Hornbeck. Hornbeck.
When this sovereign state determined to indict the less than sovereign mind of a less than sovereign school teacher, my editor decided there was more than a headline here. Therefore, the Baltimore Herald is happy to send 2 representatives to Heavenly Hillsborough, the most brilliant journalist in America today, myself, and the most agile legal mind of the 20th century, Henry Drummond.
Drummond.
Henry Drummond the agnostic?
I heard about him. He got them 2 Chicago child murderers off just the other day.
A vicious, godless man.
A Merry Christmas and a jolly 4th of July.
Henry Drummond for the defense.
Well, Henry Drummond is an agent of darkness. We won't allow him in this town.
I don't know by what law you can keep him out.
I could look up in the town ordinances.
I saw him once in a courtroom in Ohio. A man was on trial for a most brutal crime. Though he knew and admitted the man was guilty, Drummond was perverting the evidence to turn the guilt away from the accused and onto you and me and all of society.
Henry Drummond. Oh, dear me.
I can still see him, a slouching hulk of a man whose head juts out like an animal's. You look into his face and wonder why God made such a man, and then you know that God didn't make him. He is a creature of the devil, perhaps even the devil himself.
Matt? Matt, dear. They're bringing Henry Drummond for the defense.
Drummond? Henry Drummond?
We won't allow him in the town.
I think maybe the Board of Health.
No. I believe we should welcome Henry Drummond.
Welcome him?
If the enemy sends its Goliath into battle, it magnifies our cause. Henry Drummond has stalked the courtrooms of this land for 40 years. When he fights, headlines follow. The whole world will be watching our victory over Drummond. If St. George had slain a dragonfly, who would remember him?
Okay to finish off the pickled apricots, Mr. Brady.
It'd be a pity to see them go to waste.
Matthew, do you think you
Have
really
to build
should
up my strength for the battle ahead, Mother. Now, what will Drummond do? I'll tell you what he'll do. He'll try to make us forget the lawbreaker and put the law on trial. But we'll have the answer for him right here and some of the things this young lady has told me.
But Mr. Brady...
A fine girl, Reverend. Fine girl.
Rachel's always been taught to do the righteous thing.
I'm sure she has. Ah, thank you. A toast, then. A toast to tomorrow. A toast to the beginning of the case and success of our cause. A toast in good American lemonade.
Mayor, it's time for Mr.
Brady's nap. He always likes to nap after a meal.
We have a suite ready for you at the mansion house. I think you'll find your bags already there.
Most thoughtful, considerate of you.
If you follow me, it's only across the square.
And I would like to thank the members of the Ladies' Aid for preparing such a handsome picnic repast.
Our pleasure, sir.
And if I seem to pick at my food, I do not want you to believe it's because I didn't enjoy it. But you see, we had a box lunch on the tray.
Mr. Meeker? Bert, can you hear me? Bert, I don't know what to do. You need to tell me what to do.
I give advice at remarkably low hourly rates. 10% off to young and married ladies and a special discount to the clergy and their daughters.
What are you doing here?
I'm inspecting the battlefield, the night before the battle. Before it's covered with the debris of journalistic camp followers, I'm scouting myself an observation post to watch the fray. Oh wait, why do you want to see Bert Cates? What's he to you or you to him? Can it be that both beauty and biology are on our side? There's a newspaper I'd like you to read. It just arrived from that wicked modern Sodom and Gomorrah. Baltimore. Not the entire edition, of course. No Abe Kabibble, Happy Hooligan, or Barney Google. Just E.K. Hornbeck's brilliant little symphony of words. You should read it. My typewriter's been singing a sweet, sad song about the Hillsborough heretic. Boy Socrates, latter-day Dreyfus, Romeo with a biology book. It may be rancid butter, but I'm on your side of the bread.
It seems as if you're a friend of Bert's.
As much as a critic can be a friend to anyone. Want a bite? Oh, don't worry, little Eva. This isn't from the tree of knowledge. You won't find one of those in the orchards of heavenly Hillsborough. No, beeches, birches, butternuts. A few ignorance bushes, but certainly no tree of knowledge.
Will this be published here in the local paper?
In the Weekly Bugle, or whatever the laden stuff is they blow through the local linotypes? I doubt it.
It would help Bert if people here could read this. It would help them understand. I would have never expected you to write an article like this. You seem so...
Cynical? That's my fascination. I do lovable things for which people hate me, and hateful things for which people love me. I am both a friend of the enemies and an enemy of the friends. I'm admired for my detestability. I am both poles and the equator, with no temperate zones in between.
You make it seem as if Bert is a hero. I'd like to think that, but I can't. A teacher is a public servant, and I think he should do what the law and the school board want him to. If the superintendent came to me and said, Miss Brown, you're to teach the Whitley second reader, I don't feel I have to give him an argument.
Ever give your pupils a snap quiz on existence?
What?
Where we are, where we came from, where we're going.
All the answers to those questions are in the Bible.
All? You feed the youth of Hillsborough from the little truck garden in your mind?
I think there must be something wrong with what Bert believes if a great man like Mr. Brady is coming here to speak out against him.
Matthew Harrison Brady came here to find himself a stump to shout from, that's all.
Mr. Brady is the champion of ordinary people like us.
Wake up, Sleeping Beauty! The ordinary man played a dirty trick on Colonel Brady. They ceased to exist. Time was when Colonel Brady was the champion of the hinterland. The water board for the great unwashed. But they've got inside plumbing in their heads now. A highway's running through the backwoods, and the trees of the forest have made room for their leafless cousins, the telephone poles. Henry's Lizzie rattles into town, leaving behind the yesterday Messiah. The boob has been de-boobed. Colonel Brady's virginal small towner has been had. By Marconi and Montgomery Ward. Sure you don't want to bite? Hello, devil. Welcome to hell.
church regularly, Mr. Bannister?
Only on Sundays.
That's good enough for the prosecution. Your Honor, we will accept this man as a member of the jury.
One moment, Bannister, you're not excused.
I wanted that there front seat in the jury box.
Well, hold your horses, Bannister. You may get it yet.
Mr. Drummond, you will examine the veneerman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, tell me, Bannister, how come you're so anxious to get that front seat over there?
Everybody says this is going to be quite a show.
I hear the same thing. Ever read anything in a book about evolution?
Nope,
Or about a fellow named Darwin?
can't say I have.
I'll bet you read your Bible.
Nope,
How come?
I can't read.
Well, you're fortunate. He'll do.
Take your seat, Bannister. Mr. Meeker, will you call veneerman to fill the 12th and last seat on the jury?
Your Honor, will the court entertain a motion on the matter of procedure?
Will the learned prosecutor state the motion?
Jesse H. Dunlap, you're next, Jesse.
It has been brought to my attention that the temperature is currently 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and it may get hotter. I do not believe that the dignity of the court will suffer if we remove a few superfluous outer garments.
Does the defense object to Colonel Brady's motion?
I don't know if the dignity of the court can be upheld with these calluses I've got on.
Well, we'll take that chance. Those who wish to remove their coats may do so.
Is the counsel for the defense showing us the latest fashion from the great metropolitan city of Chicago?
I'm glad you asked me that. I brought these along, special. It just so happens I bought these galluses at Peabody General Store in your hometown, Mr. Brady, Weeping Water, Nebraska.
Let us proceed with the selection of the final juror.
State your name and occupation.
Jesse H. Dunlap, farmer and cabinet maker. Do you believe in the Bible, Mr. Dunlap? I believe in the holy word of God, and I believe in Matthew Harrison Brady! This man is acceptable to the prosecution.
Very well. Mr. Drummond?
Oh, no questions. Not acceptable.
Does Mr. Drummond refuse this man a place on the jury simply because he believes in the Bible?
If you can find an evolutionist in this town, you can refuse him.
Your Honor, I object to the counsel for the defense rejecting a worthy citizen without so much as asking him a question.
All right. I'll ask him a question. How are you?
Kinda hot.
So am I. Excused.
You're excused from jury duty, Mr. Dunlap. You may step down.
Your Honor, I object to the note of levity which the counsel for the defense is introducing into these proceedings.
The bench agrees with you in spirit, Colonel Brady.
And I object to all this damned colonel talk. I am not familiar with Mr. Brady's military record.
Well, he was made an honorary colonel in our state militia the day he arrived in Hillsborough.
Your Honor, the use of this title prejudices the case of my client. It calls up a picture of the prosecution astride a white horse, ablaze in the uniform of a militia colonel, with all the forces of right and righteousness marshaled behind him.
Well, what are we to do?
Break him. Make him a private. I have no serious objection to the honorary title of Private Brady.
You can't take it back. By authority of, well, I'm sure the governor won't have any objection. I hereby appoint you, Mr. Drummond, as temporary honorary colonel in our state militia.
Gentlemen, I don't know what to say. It is not often in a man's life that he attains the exalted rank of temporary honorary colonel.
It will be made permanent, of course, pending the proper papers over the governor's signature.
I thank you.
Colonel Brady, Colonel Drummond, you'll examine the veneermen.
State your name and occupation.
George Sillers. I work at the feed store.
Tell me, sir, would you call yourself a religious man?
I guess I'm as religious as the next man.
In Hillsborough, sir, that means a great deal. Tell me, do you have any children, Mr. Sillers?
Not as I know of.
If you had a son, Mr. Sillers, or a daughter, what would you say if that young child came home and told you that a godless teacher...
Objection! We are supposed to be choosing jury members. The prosecution is denouncing the defendant before the trial has even begun.
Objection sustained.
Mr. Sillers, do you have any personal opinions with regard to the defendant that may prejudice you on his behalf?
Keats? I don't hardly know him. He did buy some peat moss from me once and paid his bill.
Mr. Sillers impresses me as an honest, God-fearing man. I accept him.
Thank you, Colonel Brady. Colonel Drummond.
Sillers, I just heard you say that you're a religious man. Tell me something. Do you work at it very hard?
I'm pretty busy down at the feed store. My wife tends to the religion for the both of us.
In other words, you take care of this life and your wife takes care of the next one.
Objection!
Objection sustained.
Tell me, Mr. Sillers, while your wife was tending to the religion, did you ever happen to bump into a fellow named Charles Darwin?
Not till recent.
Well, from what you've heard about this Darwin, do you think your wife would want to have him over for Sunday dinner?
Your Honor, my worthy opponent seems to be cluttering the issue with hypothetical questions.
I'm doing your job, Colonel.
The prosecution is perfectly able to handle its own argument.
Look, I've just established that Sillers isn't working very hard at religion. Now, for your sake, I want to make sure he isn't working at evolution.
I just work at the feed store.
This man's all right. Take a box seat, Mr. Sillers.
I'm not altogether satisfied that Mr. Sillers rendered impartial judgment in
Out
this
of
trial.
order! The prosecution has already accepted this man.
I want a fair trial.
So do I.
Unless the state of minds of the jury conforms to the laws and patterns of society.
Conform. What do you want to do? Run the jury through meat grinders so they all come out the same?
Your Honor!
I've seen what you can do to a jury. Twist and tangle
Your
them.
Honor!
Nobody's forgot the Endicott publishing case where you made the jury believe the obscenity was in their own minds and not on the printed page. It was immoral what you did to that jury. Tricking them? Think you can get away with that here?
All I want is to prevent the clock stoppers from dumping a load of medieval nonsense into the United States Constitution.
This is not a federal court.
Well, damn it, you gotta stop him somewhere.
Gentlemen, if you please, you are both out of order. The court rules that the jury has been selected. Owing to the lateness of the hour and the unusual heat, the court will be recessed until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Oh, the Reverend Brown has asked me to announce that there will be a prayer meeting tonight on the courthouse lawn to pray for justice and guidance. All are invited.
Your Honor, I object to this commercial announcement.
Commercial announcement?
For Reverend Brown's product, why don't you announce that there will be an evolutionist meeting?
I have no knowledge of such a meeting.
That's understandable. It's bad enough everybody coming into this courthouse has to walk under a sign that says, "Read your Bible." Your Honor, I want that sign taken down. Or else, I want another one put up. Just as big letters, saying, "Read your Darwin."
Colonel Drummond, you are out of order. The court stands recessed.
Let me help you with your coat, Colonel Brady.
Thank you, Mary.
Exciting day, sir.
I feel by and large it went well, don't you, Colonel?
Fine. Nothing to worry about.
Who'll be your first witness tomorrow, Colonel?
You'll see.
Would you autograph my fan, Mr. Brady?
Mrs. Brady has autograph cards.
Bless you, Mr. Brady, for what you're doing.
You're coming to us for supper tonight, Colonel, in Sunday school. And afterwards, naturally, we'll expect you at our prayer meeting.
Yes, fine, excellent.
I sent over some mail from the mansion house. These letters will gladden your heart, Matt.
Rachel!
Yes, Father? I don't know if it's legal what I did with all that Colonel business.
Don't worry, you won't get hit by a thunderbolt.
Sometimes I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't think I have a correct copy of the indictment.
Here, let me see. Oh, you have the old one.
Well, let me have the new one.
Here.
Thank you.
Mr. Drummond, you've got to call the whole thing off. It's not too late. Bert knows he did wrong and he's sorry. And why can't he just stand up in front of everyone and say, "I did wrong, I broke the law, I admit it, and I won't do it again." Then everything would go back to normal and they'd stop all this fuss.
Who are you?
I'm a friend of Bert's.
How about it, boy? Getting cold feet?
I never thought it would be like this. Like Barnum and Bailey coming to town.
We can call it off. You want to quit?
Yes.
People look at me as if I was a murderer. Worse than a murderer. The fellow from Minnesota who killed his wife, remember, Rach? Half the town turned out to watch him put him on the train. They just stared at him as if he was a curiosity. Not like they hated him. Not like he'd done anything wrong. Just different.
There's nothing very original about murdering your wife.
People I thought were my friends look at me now as if I had horns growing out of my head.
You murder a wife, it isn't nearly as bad as murdering an old wives' tale.
kill one of the Puritan lotions, and they bring down the wrath of God, Brady, and the state legislature.
You make a joke out of everything. You seem to think it's all so funny.
Lady, when you lose your power to laugh, you lose your power to think straight.
Mr. Drummond, I can't laugh. I'm scared.
Good. You'd be a damned fool if you weren't.
You're supposed to be helping Bert, and every time you swear, you make it worse for him.
I'm sorry if I offend you, but I don't just swear for the hell of it. You see, I figure that language is a poor enough means of communication as it is, so we gotta use all the words we've got. Besides, there are damned few words that everybody understands.
You don't care anything about Bert. You just want a chance to make speeches against the Bible.
I care a great deal about Bert. I care a great deal about what Bert thinks.
Well, I care about what the people in this town think of him.
Do you think you can buy back his respectability by making him a coward? I understand what Bert's going through. It's the loneliest feeling in the world to find yourself standing up when everyone else is sitting down. To have people look at you and say, "What's the matter with him?" I know. I know what it feels like. Walking down an empty street, listening to the sound of your own footsteps. Shutters closed, blinds drawn, doors locked against you. And you aren't sure whether you're walking towards something or just walking away. Kate, I'll change your plea and we'll call off the whole thing on one condition. If you honestly believe that you committed a criminal act against the citizens of the state and the minds of their children. If you honestly believe that you're wrong and the law's right, then the hell with it. I'll pack my grip and go back to Chicago where it's a cool 100 in the shade.
Bert knows he did wrong. Don't you, Bert?
Don't prompt the witness.
What do you think, Mr. Drummond?
I'm here. That tells you what I think. Well, Bert, what's the verdict? You want to find yourself guilty before the jury does?
No, sir. I'm not going to quit.
Bert, how?
It wouldn't do any good now anyhow. Well, if you stick by me, Rach, we can fight it out.
I don't know what to do, Bert. I don't know what to do.
Rach, what's the matter?
I don't know what to do, but Mr. Brady says
What does Mr. Brady say?
they want me to testify against Bert.
You can't.
Bert, sorry to interrupt you, but I gotta close up shop.
Wait, just some of the things I've said to you, you just say to your own heart. If you get up on the witness stand and say those things out loud, don't you understand? The words I've said to you softly, in the dark, just trying to figure out what the stars are for, or what might be on the backside of the moon.
Bert.
They were just questions, Rach. I was just asking questions. If you repeat those things on the witness stand, Brady will make them sound like answers, and they'll crucify me.
What's your name? Rachel what?
Rachel Brown. Can they make me testify?
I'm afraid so. It would be nice if nobody had to make anybody do anything, but don't let Brady scare you. He only seems bigger than the law.
It's not Mr. Brady. It's my father,
Well, who's your father?
the Reverend Jeremiah Brown. I used to feel this way when I was a little girl. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night, terrified of the dark. I'd think that the whole house was upside down and my bed was on the ceiling, and if I didn't hold on to the mattress, I might fall outward into the stars. I always wanted to run to him and have him tell me that I was safe, that everything was okay, but I was always more afraid of him than I was of falling. It's the same way now.
Is your mother dead?
I never knew my mother. Is it true? Is Bert wicked?
Bert Case is a good man. Maybe even a great one. And it takes strength for a woman to love such a man, especially when he's a pariah in the community.
No, I'm only confusing him. He's confused enough as it is.
The man who has everything figured out is probably a fool. College examinations notwithstanding, it takes a very smart fella to say, I don't know the answer.
about this banner?
The devil don't run this town. Leave it up.
And I hope you'll tell the readers of your newspaper that here in Hillsborough we are fighting the fight of the faithful throughout the world.
Question, Mr. Brady.
Certainly. Where are you from?
London, sir. Reuters News Agency.
Excellent. I have many friends in the United Kingdom.
What is your personal opinion of Henry Drummond?
I'm glad you asked me that. I want people everywhere to know I bear no personal animosity toward Henry Drummond. There was a time when we were on the same side of the fence. He gave me active support in my campaign in 1908, and I welcomed it. But I say, if my own brother questioned the faith of millions, as Mr. Drummond is doing, I would oppose him still. I think that's all for this evening, gentlemen. Mr. Hornbeck, my clipping service has sent me some of your dispatches.
Oh, well, how flattering to know that I'm being clipped.
It grieves me to read reporting that is so biased.
Oh, well, I'm no reporter, Colonel. I'm a critic.
I do hope you'll stay for the Reverend Brown's prayer meeting. It may bring you some enlightenment.
It may. I'm here on a press pass, Colonel, and I don't intend to miss any part of the show.
Good evening, Reverend. How are you, Mother?
Reverend Brown was kind enough to escort me.
Reverend, I'm looking forward to your prayer meeting.
You will find our people are fervent in their belief.
Matthew, I know it's warm, but these night breezes can be treacherous, and you know how you perspire.
Mother's always so worried about my throat.
Sarah!
Oh, hello. Oh, no, I couldn't.
He'll be busy for a while. How? Where is it? The hat with the little blue feather?
Blue feather.
You used to wear it for the conventions, and it was much too becoming.
Oh, Henry. And whatever happened to that skinny black tie you used to wear? Not very attractive, like an old shoelace.
Back in the shoe. How are you, Sarah? How are you?
A little grayer. And you?
A little grimmer.
We've missed you, Henry. You don't make many good friends in a lifetime. I never dreamed our ideas would separate us.
He still has a loud voice.
Still has something to say.
You mean about how everyone else should live?
Oh, don't be cynical. I think that every man longs to be his brother's keeper and be cared for in turn.
It sounds more convincing coming from you.
He doesn't have a blue feather in his hat. That's all.
You know, looking back, I don't think he would have made a great president.
Henry.
But I would have voted for him for king, just to have you as queen.
And what would you have been?
Your Majesty's loyal opposition.
I always like to begin my meetings at the time announced.
Most commendable. Proceed, Reverend. After you.
Brothers and sisters, I come to you on the wings of the word. The wings of the word are beating loud in the treetops. The Lord's word is howling in the wind and flashing in the belly of the cloud. And we believe the word. We believe the glory of the word. Hearken to the word. The word tells us that the world was created in 7 days. In the beginning, the earth was without form and void. And the Lord said, let there be light. And there was light. And the Lord said light. And the light said the Lord. And the light said, am I good, Lord? And the Lord said, thou art good. The Lord said, let there be firmament. And even as he spoke, it was so. The firmament bowed down before him and said, am I good, Lord? And the Lord said, thou art good. On the third day brought he forth the dry land, and the grass, and the fruit trees, and he peopled the sea with fish, and the air with fowl. And he blessed them all. On the fourth day made he the sun, the moon, and the stars. And he pronounced them good. On the fifth day, he peopled the sea with fish and the air with fowl, and made he great whales. And he blessed them all. But on the morning of the sixth day, the Lord rose, and his eye was dark. and a scowl lay across his face. Why? Why was the Lord troubled? He looked about him to the Lord, at all his handiwork, bowed down before him. And he said, "It is not good. It is not enough. It is not finished. I shall make me a man." The Lord said, "Yea, thou art good, for I have created thee in my image, after my likeness. Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it."
The Lord made man master of the earth.
Do we believe? Yes. Do we believe the word? Yes. Do we believe the truth of the word? Yes. Do we curse the man who denies the word? Yes. Do we cast out this sinner in our midst? Yes. Do we call down hellfire on the man who has sinned against the word? Yes. Oh Lord of the tempest and the thunder, oh Lord of righteousness and wrath, we pray that thou wilt make a sign unto us. Strike down this sinner as thou didst thine enemies of old in the days of Pharaohs. Let him feel the terror of thy sword. For all eternity let him ride in anguish and damnation.
No, don't pray to destroy Bert. No.
Lord, we call down the same curse on those who ask grace for this sinner. Though they be blood of my blood and flesh of my flesh.
Reverend Brown! I know it is great zeal of your faith that makes you utter this prayer, but it is possible to be overzealous, to destroy that which we hope to save, so that nothing is left but emptiness. Remember the wisdom of Solomon in the book of Proverbs. He who troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. The Bible also tells us that God forgives his children, and we, the children of God, must forgive each other. Return to your homes, my friends, and may the blessings of the Lord be with you all. We were good friends once. Whatever happened between us? There used to be this mutuality of understanding and admiration. Why is it, my friend, that you've moved so far away from me?
All motion is relative. Perhaps it is you who have moved away by standing still.
Go on, Howard. Tell them what else Mr. Cates told you in the classroom.
Well, he said at first the earth was too hot for any life. Then it cooled off a mite and cells and things begun to live.
Cells?
Little bugs, like in the water. After that, the little bugs got to be bigger bugs and sprouted legs and crawled up on the land.
Now, how long did this take, according to Mr. Cates?
Couple million years, maybe longer. Then comes the fishes and the reptiles and the mammals. Man's a mammal.
Along with the dogs and cattle in the field? Did he mention that?
Yes, sir.
Now, how did man come out of this slimy mess of bugs and serpents, according to your professor?
Man sort of evoluted from the old world monkey.
You hear that, my friends? Old world monkeys. According to Mr. Cates, you and I aren't even descended from good American monkeys. Now, listen carefully, Howard. In all this talk of bugs and serpents, slime and ooze, did Mr. Cates ever make any reference to God?
Not as I remember.
Or the miracle he achieved in 7 days as described in the beautiful book of Genesis?
No, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Objection! I ask that the court remind the learned counsel this is not a Chautauqua tent. He is supposed to be submitting evidence to a jury. There are no ladies on the jury.
Your Honor, I have no intention of making a speech. There is no need. For I am sure that everyone on the jury, everyone within the sound of this boy's voice, is moved by this tragic confusion. He has been taught that he wriggled up like an animal from the filth and muck below. I say these Bible haters, these evolutionists, are brewers of poison, and the legislature of this sovereign state has had the wisdom to demand that these peddlers of poison, whether in bottles or in books, clearly label the product which they attempt to sell. I say if this law is not upheld, this boy will grow up as part of a generation shorn of its faith from godless teachings of science. But if the full penalty of the law is meted out to Bertram Cates, the faithful, the whole world over, who are watching us here today, listening to our every word, will call this courtroom blessed. Your witness, sir.
Well, I sure am glad Colonel Brady didn't make a speech. Howard, I heard you say that the world used to be pretty hot.
That's what Mr. Cates said.
Do you figure it was any hotter then than it is right now?
I guess it must have been. Mr. Cates read it to us from a book.
Do you know what book?
I guess that Mr. Darwin thought it up.
You figure anything's wrong with that, Howard?
Well, I don't know.
Objection, Your Honor. The defense is asking that a 13-year-old boy hand down an opinion on the question of morality.
Your Honor, I'm trying to establish that Howard or Colonel Brady or Charles Darwin or anyone in this courtroom or you, sir, has the right to think.
Colonel Drummond, the right to think is not on trial here.
With all respect to the bench, I hold that the right to think is very much on trial here. It is fearfully endangered in the proceedings of this court.
A man is on trial.
A thinking man, and he is threatened with fine and imprisonment because he chooses to speak what he thinks.
Colonel Drummond, would you please rephrase your question?
Let's put it this way. When all this fuss and feathers about evolution, did it hurt you any?
Sir?
What Mr. Cates told you, did it do you any harm? Are you still reasonably fit? Did it hurt your baseball game? Affect your pitching arm?
No, sir, I'm a lefty.
Southpaw? Still honor your father and mother?
Sure.
Haven't murdered anybody since breakfast?
Objection sustained.
Ask him if his holy faith in the Bible has been shattered.
When I need your valuable help, Colonel, you may rest assured I shall humbly ask for it. Howard, do you believe everything Mr. Cates told you?
I don't know. I gotta think it over.
Good for you. Your pa's a farmer, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
Got a tractor?
Brand new one.
You figure a tractor's sinful because it isn't mentioned in the Bible?
Don't know.
Moses never made a phone call. Suppose it makes the telephone an instrument of the devil?
I never thought of it that way.
Neither did anybody else. Your Honor, the defense makes the same mistake as all godless men. They confuse material thing with the great spiritualities of the revealed word. Why is it you bewilder this child? Does right have no meaning to you, sir?
Realizing that I may prejudice the case of my client, I must say that right has no meaning to me whatsoever. Truth has a meaning, as a direction. But one of the peculiar imbecilities of our time is this grid of morality we have placed on human behavior, so that every act of man must be measured against some arbitrary latitude of degrees. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about, Howard?
No, sir.
Well, maybe you will. Someday. Thank you, son. That's all.
The witness is excused. We won't need you anymore, Howard. You can go back to your pa now. Next witness.
Will Miss Rachel Brown come forward, please?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Miss Brown, you are a school teacher at the Hillsborough Consolidated School,
Yes.
so you've had ample opportunity to know the defendant, Mr. Cates, professionally.
Yes.
And is Mr. Cates a member of the spiritual community to which you belong?
Objection! I don't understand this chatter about spiritual communities. If the prosecution wants to know if they attend the same church, why doesn't he ask that?
Objection overruled. You'll answer the question, please.
I did answer it, didn't I? What was the question?
Do you and Mr. Cates attend the same church?
Not anymore. Bert dropped out 2 summers ago.
Why?
It was what happened with the little Sevens boy.
Would you tell us some more about that, please?
The boy was 11 years old, and he went swimming in the river and got a cramp and drowned. Bert felt awful about it. He lived right next door. Bert said he had a quick mind, and he might even be a scientist when he grew up. At the funeral, Pop preached that Tommy didn't die in a state of grace because his folks had never had him baptized.
Tell me what your father really said. That Tommy son was damned, whining and hellfire. Religion's supposed to cover people, isn't it?
We'll have order, please!
Your Honor, I request that the defendant's remarks be stricken from the record.
But how can we strike this young man's bigoted opinions from the minds of this community? Now, my dear, will you tell us some more of Mr. Cates' opinions on the matter of religion?
Objection! Hearsay testimony is not admissible.
The court sees no objection to this line of questioning. Proceed, Colonel Brady.
Will you merely repeat, in your own words, some of the conversations you share with the defendant?
I don't remember
What you told me the other day, the presumably humorous remark he made about the Heavenly Father?
Bert was just talking about some of the things that he'd read.
Go on, my dear.
Bert said, I can't.
Miss Brown, may I remind you that you are testifying under oath, and it is unlawful to withhold pertinent information.
Bert was just talking about some of the things that he'd read. He didn't...
Were you shocked when he told you these things? Describe to the jury your innermost feelings when he told you that God did not create man. Man created God.
Bert didn't say that. He was just joking. What he said was, God created man in his own image, and man, being a gentleman, returned the compliment.
Now tell us some more. What did he say about the holy state of matrimony? Did he compare it to the breeding of animals?
Bert didn't say that. He didn't mean that. All he said was...
Miss Brown, are you ill? Would you care for a glass of water?
Under the circumstances, I believe the witness should be dismissed.
And will the defense have no chance to challenge some of the statements the prosecution has placed in the mouth of the witness?
Don't plague her. Just let her go.
No questions.
For the time being, the witness is excused. Does the prosecution wish to call upon any further witnesses?
Not at the present time, Your Honor.
We'll proceed with the case for the defense. Colonel Drummond?
Your Honor, I wish to call Dr. Amos D. Keller, head of the Department of Zoology at the University of Chicago.
Objection.
On what grounds?
I wish to inquire what relevance testimony of a zoology professor could have in this trial.
It has every relevance. My client is in trial for teaching evolution. Any testimony regarding his alleged infringement of the law must be omitted.
Irrelevant, immaterial, inadmissible.
Why? If Bertram Cates were accused of murder, would it be irrelevant to call up expert witnesses to examine the weapon? Would the court rule out expert testimony that the so-called murder weapon was incapable of firing a bullet?
I fail to grasp the learned counsel's meaning.
Oh, Your Honor, the defense wishes to place Dr. Keller on the stand so that he may explain to the gentlemen of the jury exactly what the evolutionary theory is. How can they pass judgment on it if they don't know what it's all about?
I hold that the law we are here to defend excludes such testimony. The people of this state have made it very clear that they do not want this zoological hogwash slobbered around their schoolrooms. And I would not allow these agnostic scientists to employ this courtroom as a sounding board, a platform from which they can shout their heresies into the headlines.
The court rules that zoology is irrelevant to this case.
Agnostic scientists? Then I call Dr. Ellen Page, deacon of the Congregational Church and professor of geology and archaeology at Oberlin College.
Objection.
Objection sustained.
In one breath, does the court deny the existence of zoology, geology, and archaeology?
We do not deny the existence of these sciences, but they do not relate to this point of law.
I call Walter Aronson, philosopher, anthropologist, author, one of the most brilliant minds in the world today. Objection, Colonel Brady?
Objection.
Your Honor, the defense has brought to Hillsborough, at great expense and inconvenience, 15 noted scientists, the great thinkers of our time. Their testimony is basically the defense of my client. For it is my intent to show this court that what Bertram Cates spoke quietly one spring afternoon in the Hillsborough High School is no crime. It is as incontrovertible as geometry in every enlightened community of minds.
In this community, Colonel Drummond, and in this sovereign state, exactly the opposite is the case. The language of the law is clear. We do not need experts to question the validity of a law that is already on the books.
In other words, the court rules out any expert testimony regarding Charles Darwin's Origin of Species or Descent of Man.
The court so rules.
Your Honor, would the court admit expert testimony regarding a book known as the Holy Bible?
Any objections, Colonel Brady?
If the counsel can advance the case for the defense through the use of the Holy Scriptures, the prosecution will take no exception.
Good. Then I call one of the world's foremost experts on the Bible and its teachings, Matthew Harrison Brady.
Your Honor, this is preposterous.
Well, it's highly unorthodox. I've never known an instance where the defense calls the prosecuting attorney as a witness.
Your Honor, this entire trial is unorthodox. If the interests of right and justice will be served, I will take the stand.
But Colonel Brady.
The court will support you if you wish to decline to testify as a witness against your own case.
I will not testify against anything. I will speak out as I have all my life, on behalf of the living truth of the Holy Scriptures.
Mr. Meeker, you better swear in the witness.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And he will.
Am I correct, sir, in calling on you as an authority on the Bible?
I do not believe it is boastful to say I have studied the Bible as much as any layman, and I have tried to live according to its precepts.
Bully for you. Now I suppose you can quote me chapter and verse right straight through the King James Version, can't you?
There are many portions of the Bible which I have committed to memory.
I don't suppose you memorize many passages from the Origin of Species?
I am not the least interested in the pagan hypotheses of that book,
Never read it?
and I never will.
Then how in perdition do you have the gall to whoop up this holy war against something you don't know anything about? How can you be so cocksure that the body of knowledge systematized in the writings of Charles Darwin is in any way reconcilable with the spirit of the book of Genesis?
Would you state that question again, please?
Let me put it this way. On page 19 of Origin of Species, Darwin states...
I object to this, Your Honor. Colonel Brady has been called as an authority on the Bible. Now the gentleman from Chicago is using this opportunity to read into record scientific testimony, which you, Your Honor, previously ruled is irrelevant. If he is going to examine Colonel Brady on the Bible, let him stick to the Bible, the Holy Bible, and only the Bible.
You will confine your questions to the Bible, please.
All right. I get the scent in the wind. We'll play in your ballpark, Colonel. Now, let's get this straight. Let's get it clear. This is the book that you're an expert on?
That is correct.
And do you believe that everything that's written in this book should be taken literally?
Everything in the Bible should be accepted exactly as it is given there.
Take this part where the whale swallows Jonah. Do you figure that actually happened?
The Bible does not say a whale. It says a big fish.
Matter of fact, it says a great fish, but it's practically the same thing. What are your feelings on that?
I believe in a God who can make a whale and who can make a man, and make both do as he pleases.
Amen.
Amen.
I want those amens in the record. I recollect a story about Joshua making the sun stand still. Now, as an expert, you tell me that's as true as the Jonah business, right? That's a pretty neat trick. You suppose Houdini could do it?
I do not question or scoff at the miracles of the Lord, as do ye of little faith.
Have you ever pondered just what would naturally happen to the earth if the sun stood still?
I have faith in the Bible.
Listen, if they say that the sun stood still, that must have meant they had a notion that the sun moves around the earth. Think that's the way of things?
The sun
Or
stopped.
don't you believe that the earth moves around the sun?
The sun stopped.
Good. Now, if what you say factually happened, if Joshua halted the sun in the sky, that means the earth stopped spinning on its axis. Continents toppled over each other. Mountains flew out into space, and the Earth, arrested in its orbit, shriveled to a cinder and crashed into the sun. How come they missed this tidbit of news?
They missed it because it didn't happen.
It must have happened according to natural law. Or don't you believe in natural law, Colonel? Would you like to ban Copernicus from the classroom along with Charles Darwin? Pass a law to wipe out all scientific development since Joshua. Revelations, period.
Natural law was born in the mind of the Heavenly Father. He can cancel it, change it, use it as he pleases. It constantly amazes me that you apostles of science, for all your supposed wisdom, failed to grasp this simple fact.
Listen to this. Genesis 4:16. And Cain went out for the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife. Where the hell did she come from?
Who?
Mrs. Cain, Cain's wife. If in the beginning there were only Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, where did the sexual woman spring from? Ever figure that out?
No, sir. I shall leave the agnostics to hunt for her.
Never bothered you?
Never bothered me.
Never tried to find out?
No.
Figure somebody pulled off another creation over in the next county?
The Bible satisfies me. It is enough.
It frightens me to imagine the state of learning if everyone had your driving curiosity. This book now goes into a lot of begats, and Naphrexa begot Sela, and Sela begot Eber, and so on and so forth. These pretty important folks.
They are the generations of the holy men and women of the Bible.
How did they go about all this begatting?
What do you mean?
I mean, did people begat in those days around the same way they get themselves begat now?
The process is about the same. I do not believe that your scientists have improved it any.
In other words, these folks were conceived and brought forth through the normal biological function known as sex. What do you think of sex, Colonel Brady?
In what spirit is this question asked?
Oh, I'm not asking what you think of sex as a father, as a husband, or as a presidential candidate. I'm asking what you think of sex as an authority on the Bible. What is the biblical evaluation of sex?
It is considered original sin.
And all these holy people got themselves begat through original sin? All the sinning making me any less holy?
Your Honor, where is this leading us? What does this have to do with the state versus Bertram case?
The court must be satisfied that this line of questioning has some bearing on the case.
You've ruled out all my witnesses. You must allow me to examine the one witness you've left me in my own way.
Your Honor, I'm willing to sit here and endure Mr. Drummond's sneering and disrespect, for he is pleading the case of the prosecution for his contempt for all that is holy.
I object! I object! I object!
On what grounds? Is it possible that something is holy to the celebrated agnostic?
Yes! The individual human mind. In a child's power to master the multiplication tables, there is more sanctity than in all your shouted amens, holy holies, or hosannas. An idea is a greater monument than a cathedral, and the advance of man's knowledge is more of a miracle than any sticks turned to snakes to the parting of waters. But are we now to halt the march of progress because Mr. Brady frightens us with fable? Gentlemen, progress has never been a bargain. You've got to pay for it. Sometimes I think there's a man behind the counter who says, all right, you can have a telephone, but you'll have to give up privacy, the charm of distance. Madame, you may vote, but at a price. You lose the right to retreat behind a powder puff or petticoat. Mister, you may conquer the air, but the birds will lose their wonder and the clouds will smell of gasoline. Darwin brought us forward to a hilltop, where we could look back and see the way from which we came. But for this view, this insight, this knowledge, we must abandon faith in the pleasant poetry of Genesis.
We must not abandon faith. Faith is the important thing.
Then why did God plague us with the power to think? Mr. Brady, why do you deny us the one faculty which lists man above all other creatures? The power of his brain to reason. What other merit have we? The elephant is larger, the horse is stronger and swifter, the butterfly more beautiful, the mosquito more prolific, even the simple sponge is more durable. Or does a sponge think?
I do not know. I'm not a sponge.
Do you think a sponge thinks?
If the Lord wishes a sponge to think, it thinks.
And does a man have the same privileges that a sponge does?
Of course.
This man wishes to be accorded the same privilege as a sponge. He wishes to think.
But your client is wrong. He's deluded. He's lost his way.
It's sad that we aren't all gifted with your positive knowledge of right and wrong, Mr. Brady. How old do you think this rock is?
I am more interested in the Rock of Ages than I am in the Age of Rocks.
Dr. Alan Page of Oberlin College tells me that this rock is at least 10 million years old.
Well, well, Colonel Drummond. You managed to sneak in some of that scientific testimony after all.
Look, Mr. Brady, these are the fossil remains of a prehistoric marine creature which was found in this county and which lived here millions of years ago when these very mountain ranges were submerged in water.
I know. The Bible gives me a fine account of the flood. But your professor's a little mixed up on his dates. That rock is no more than 6,000 years old.
How do you know?
A fine scholar, Bishop Usher, has determined for us the exact date and hour of the creation. It occurred in the year 4004 BC.
That's Bishop Usher's opinion.
It is not opinion. It is literal fact that the good bishop arrived at through careful computation of the age of the prophets as set down in the Old Testament. In fact, he determined that it occurred on the 23rd of October in the year 4004 BC at 9 a.m.
That Eastern Standard Time? Or Rocky Mountain Time? It wasn't daylight savings time, was it? Because the Lord didn't create the sun until the fourth day.
That is correct.
That first day, was it a 24-hour day?
The Bible says it was a day.
There wasn't any sun. How do you know how long it was?
The Bible says it was a day.
A normal day, a literal day, a 24-hour day?
I do not know.
Well, what do you think?
I do not think about things I do not think about.
Do you ever think about things that you do think about? Isn't it possible that the first day was 25 hours long? There was no way to measure it. No way to tell. Could it have been 25 hours?
It is possible.
Oh, so you interpret that the first day of creation, as recorded in the book of Genesis, could be of indeterminate length.
I merely mean to state that the day referred to is not necessarily a 24-hour day.
It could have been 30 hours, or a month, or a year, or 100 years, or 10 million years.
I protest! This is not only irrelevant and immaterial, it is illegal. I demand to know the purpose of Mr. Drummond's examination. What is he trying to do?
I'll tell you what he's trying to do. He's trying to destroy everybody's belief in the Bible and in God.
You know that's not true. I'm trying to stop you bigots and ignoramuses from controlling the education of the United States, and you know it!
How dare you attack the Bible?
The Bible is a book.
We shall have order,
A good
please.
book, but it's not the only book.
This is the revealed work of the Almighty. God spake to the man who wrote the Bible.
How do you know God can speak to Charles Darwin?
I know because God told me to oppose the evil teachings of that man.
Oh, God speaks to you.
Yes.
He tells you exactly what's right and what's wrong.
Yes.
And you act accordingly.
Yes.
So you, Matthew Harrison Brady, through oratory, legislation, or whatever, pass along God's orders to the rest of the world. Gentlemen, meet the prophet from Nebraska.
Please.
Is that the way of things?
No.
God tells Brady what is good?
No.
To be against Brady is to be against God?
No. Each man is a free agent.
Then what is Bertram Cates doing in the Hillsborough jail? What if Mr. Cates had enough influence and lung power to railroad through the state legislature a law that only Darwin should be taught in schools?
Ridiculous! There's only one great truth in the world.
The gospel according to Brady. God speaks to Brady, and Brady tells the world, Brady Almighty.
The Lord is my strength.
What if a lesser human being, a Cates or a Darwin, has the audacity to think that God might whisper to him? Then an unbrady thought might still be holy. Must men go to prison because they are at odds with the self-appointed prophet? Extend the testaments. We shall have a book of Brady. We shall text the Pentateuch to slip you neatly between Numbers and Deuteronomy.
You know what I believe.
The witness is excused.
I believe in the book of Genesis,
You are excused,
Exodus,
Colonel
Leviticus,
Brady. You're
Numbers,
excused, Colonel Brady.
Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Judges, 2 Judges, Joshua, Ezekiel, Obadiah, Hosea, Joel, Obadiah, Habakkuk, Zephaniah. God, they're laughing at me, Mother.
No, Matt. No, they are not.
I can't stand it when they laugh at me.
It's all right, baby. It's all right, baby. It's all right, baby. Baby. Baby.
JBHA, I see. Is the jury still out? Swatting flies and wrestling with justice. In that order. I'm gonna miss Hillsborough. Especially this courtroom. A melange of Moorish and Methodist. Must have been designed by a congressman.
Mr. Drummond, what's going to happen?
What do you think is going to happen, Bert?
Do you think they'll send me to prison?
They could.
They don't ever let you see anybody from the outside, do they? I mean, you can't just talk to a visitor through a window the way they show in the movies?
Oh, it's not as bad as all that. You know, when they started this fire here, they never thought it would light up the whole sky. A lot of people's shoes are getting hot, but you can't be too sure.
He seems so sure. He seems to know what the verdict's going to be.
Nobody knows. But I've got a pretty good idea. When you're a lawyer as long as I've been, 1,000 years more or less, you get so you can smell the way a jury's thinking.
What are you thinking right now?
Someday I'm gonna get me an easy case. An open and shut one. I got a friend up in Chicago, big time lawyer. Lord, how the money rolls in. You know why? He never takes a case unless it's a sure thing. Like a jockey who won't go in a race unless he can ride the favorite.
Well, you sure picked the long shot this time, Mr. Drummond.
Sometimes I think the law is like a horse race. I seem to ride like fury, but always in the back where I started. Might as well be on a merry-go-round, or a rocking horse, or golden dancer.
What did you say?
That was the name of my first long shot. Golden Dancer. She was in the big side window of the general store in Wakeman, Ohio. I used to stand out in the street and say, if I had Golden Dancer, I'd have everything in the world that I wanted. I was 7 years old and a very fine judge of rocking horses. She had a bright red mane and blue eyes. She was gold all over with purple spots. When the sun hit her stirrups, she was a dazzling sight to see. But she was a week's wages for my father. So Golden Dancer and I always had a plate glass window between us. But one day, let's see, it wasn't Christmas, it must have been my birthday. One day, I woke up and there was Golden Dancer at the foot of my bed. Ma skimmed on groceries and Pa worked lights for a week. I got out of bed, jumped in the saddle, and started rocking. And it broke. Split in two. The wood was rotten and the whole thing was put together with spit and sealing wax. All shine, no substance. Bert, when you see something bright, shining, perfect seeming, all gold with purple spots, look behind the paint. And if it's a lie, show it up what it really is.
I think this is the best place to put it, if that's all right with you, Your Honor.
There's no precedent for this sort of thing.
You understand, Your Honor, we're making history here today. This is the first time a public event has ever been broadcast.
Well, I'll allow it, provided you don't interfere with the business of this court.
Thank you.
Merle, gotta talk to you. Okay. Squire just came. Boys over at the Capitol, getting worried about how things are going. Newspapers all over raising such a hullabaloo. The boys are just beginning to get nervous. After all, November ain't too far off, and it don't do any of us any good to have any of the voters getting all steamed up. Wouldn't it be too bad to just let things settle down? Well, hang in there, Merle.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What is that?
An enunciator.
You're going to broadcast?
We've a direct wire to WGN Chicago. As soon as the jury comes in, we'll announce the verdict.
Radio. God, this is gonna break down a lot of walls.
You're not supposed to say God on the radio.
Why the hell not?
You're not supposed to say hell either.
Well, this is going to be a barren source of amusement.
Can one speak into either side of the machine?
Yes, sir, either side.
Kindly signal me why I'm speaking if my voice does not have sufficient projection for your radio apparatus.
Jury's coming.
you rise. Hear ye, hear ye. Court will now reconvene in the case of the state versus Bertram Cates.
What do you think? Can you tell from their faces?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Harry Y. Estabrook speaking to you from the courthouse in Hillsborough, where the jury is just returning to the courtroom to render its verdict in the famous Hillsborough monkey trial case. The judge has just taken the bench, and in the next few minutes we shall know whether Bertram Cates has been found innocent or guilty.
Gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a decision?
Yes, sir, we have, Your Honor.
The jury's decision is unanimous. Bertram Cates has been found guilty as charged.
Did you hear that, friends out there in Radioland? Bertram Cates has been found guilty as charged. I can tell you the confusion here is simply unbelievable. And the next voice you hear will be that of the judge actually pronouncing sentence.
Step right up and get your tickets to the Middle Ages. You only thought you missed the coronation of Charlemagne.
The prisoner will rise to hear the sentence of this court. Bertram Cates, I hear...
Your Honor, a question on procedure.
Well, sir?
Isn't it customary in the state to allow the defendant to make a statement before a sentence is passed?
Colonel Drummond, I apologize for this omission. In the confusion and I neglected. Bertram Cates, if you wish to make any statement before sentence is passed on you, why, you may proceed.
Your Honor, I am not a public speaker. I do not have the eloquence of some of the people you've heard from in the last few days. I'm just a school teacher.
Not anymore, you ain't.
I was a school teacher. I feel I have been convicted of violating an unjust law. I will continue in the future, as I have in the past, to oppose this law in any way I can, and I will...
Bertram Cates, you are found guilty of violating Public Act Volume 37, Statute Number 31428 as charged. This violation is punishable by fine and/or imprisonment. Since there have been no previous violations of this law, no precedent exists to guide the court in passing judgment. Therefore, the court deems it proper to sentence you to a fine of $100.
Did Your Honor say $100?
That is correct. I believe that
Your Honor, the prosecution takes exception. But the issues are so titanic, the court
I
must meet up
object.
with drastic punishment. To make an example of this transgressor.
Just a
to
minute.
show the world.
Just a minute. The amount of the fine is of no concern. Bertram Cates has no intention whatsoever of paying this or any other fine.
Let him go to jail then.
He will not pay it or $1 single. We wish to appeal to the Supreme Court of the state. Will the court grant us 30 days to prepare a appeal?
Permission granted. The court sets bond at $500. I believe that this concludes the business of the court. I hereby declare this court...
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to read into the record a few remarks which I have prepared.
I object to that. Mr. Brady may make any remarks he likes, long, short, or otherwise, in a Chautauqua tent or on the political campaign. Our business in Hillsborough is finished. The defense holds that the court should be adjourned.
I have a few remarks.
And we are all anxious to hear them, sir. But Colonel Drummond's point of procedure is well taken. I am sure that we will all wish to remain after court is adjourned to hear your address. I hereby declare that this court is adjourned sine die. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we are all eager to hear a few words which Colonel Brady wishes to address you with.
My friends, your attention, please. My friends, my fellow citizens, friends of the unseen audience, from the hallowed hills of sacred Sinai, from the days of remote antiquity, from a law that has been our bulwark and our shield. Age upon age, men have looked to this law, they have looked to the mountains, whence cometh our strength. And here in this court...
Mr. Colonel Brady, would you move a little closer to the enunciator?
And here in this courtroom, we have vindicated.
Ladies and gentlemen, our program
We have
director
vindicated.
advises us that our time here is completed. Harry Y. Estabrook speaking, we direct you now to our studios in Matinee Musicale.
Dear God in heaven, someone help me!
Get away, give me a hand, give me a hand. We need to get him across the street to the doc's office. As fast as you can.
Chief Justice, fellow citizens of the United States of America, I pledge to uphold my law as I have my entire life for the benefit of the common people. And I say what I've said all my life. In this courtroom, we will uphold every law.
How quickly they can turn. Not painful looking at you when you don't expect it. I wonder what it's like to be an almost president 3 times. And have a skull full of undelivered inauguration speeches.
Something happens to an also. Something happens to the feet of a man who always comes second in a foot race. He becomes a national unloved child, a balding orphan, an aging adolescent who never got the biggest piece of candy. A show me a shouter and I'll show you an also ran. It almost has been. It almost was.
Did you see his face? He looked terrible.
I'm surprised more folks ain't killed over in this heat.
I'll give him an hour or so to sweat away the pumpernickel and pickle, to let the taste of vinegar victory leave his mouth. Mount Brady will erupt again by nightfall, spewing lukewarm fire and irrelevant ashes.
What's the matter, boy?
Oh, I'm not sure. Did I win or did I lose?
You won.
But the jury found me.
What jury? 12 men? Millions of people will say you won. They'll read in the papers tonight that you smashed the bad law. You made it a joke.
What happens now? I haven't got a job. I bet they won't even let me back in the boarding house.
Sure, it's gonna be tough. It won't be any church social for a while. But you'll live. And while they're making you sweat, remember, you help the next fellow.
What do you mean?
You don't suppose this kind of thing is ever finished, do you? Tomorrow, sure as hell, someone else will have to take a stand. And you help give them the courage to do it.
Mr. Meeker, don't you have to lock me up?
They posted bail.
You don't expect a school teacher to have $500.
This fellow over here put it up.
With 1-year subscription to the Baltimore Herald, we offer, with no price or obligation, 1 year of freedom.
Rachel.
Hello, Bert.
Oh, I don't need any more shirts. I'm free. For a while, anyway.
These are my things, Bert. I'm going away.
Where are you going?
I'm not sure, but I'm leaving my father.
Rach.
Bert, it's my fault that the jury found you guilty. Partly my fault. I helped. This is your book, Bert. I read it all the way through. I don't understand it. From what I do understand, I don't like it. I don't want to think that men come from apes and monkeys. But that's besides the point.
You're right. That's beside the point.
Mr. Drummond, I'm sorry if I said anything to offend you. You see, I haven't done much thinking. I was always afraid of what I might think, so I thought it'd be safer to not think at all. But now I know a thought is like a child. It has to be born. And if it dies inside you, a part of you dies too. Maybe what Mr. Jarman wrote is bad. I don't know. Bad or good, it doesn't make a difference. The ideas have to come out like children. Some of them sickly and some of them healthy as a bean plant. The sickly ones, I think, die mostly. Don't you think, Bert?
Brady's dead.
I can't imagine a world without Matthew Harrison Brady.
What caused it? Did they say?
Matthew Harrison Brady died of a busted belly. Oh, be frank, why should we weep for him? The man cried enough for himself. The national tear duct from Weeping Water, Nebraska. Flooded the nation like a one-man Mississippi. You know what he was? A Barnum Bunkum Bible-beating bastard.
You smart aleck. You have no more right to spin on his religion than you have to spin on my religion, or my lack of it.
Well, Henry Drummond for the defense, even of his enemies.
There was much greatness in that man.
Shall I write that in the obituary?
Write anything you damn please.
How do you write an obituary for someone who's been dead 30 years? In memoriam, MHB. Then what? Hail the apostles whose letters to the Corinthians got lost in the mail. 10 years, 2 years, and tourists will ask their guide, who died there? Matthew Harrison who? What did he say to the minister? Here it is. His book. Proverbs, wasn't it?
He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall become servant to the wise in heart.
Well, Colonel Drummond. We're growing an odd crop of agnostics this year, aren't we?
I'm getting damn tired of you, Hornbeck.
Why?
You never pushed a noun against a verb except to blow up something.
That's a typical lawyer's trick, accusing the accuser.
What am I accused of?
I accuse you of contempt of conscience, self-perjury, and kindness of forethought.
Why? Because I refuse to erase a man's lifetime? I tell you, Brady had the same rights that Case does. The right to be wrong.
Be kind to Bigotweek, because Brady's dead we must be kind. God, how the world's rotten with kindness.
A giant once lived in that body, but Matt Brady got lost because he was looking for God too high up and too far away.
You hypocrite. You fraud! You're more religious than he was. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I must find me a typewriter to write myself a story about an atheist who believes in God.
Colonel Drummond.
Bert, I am resigning my commission in the state militia. I hanged in my sword.
Doesn't it cost a lot for an appeal? I couldn't pay you.
I didn't come here to get paid. Well, I better get myself on a trade.
There's one coming in at 5:13. Bert, you and I can be on that one too.
I'll get my stuff.
I'll help.
See you at the depot.
Say, you forgot